local officials and radical left-wing agitators who actually encouraged violence, who facilitated violence and rioting in the great city of Los Angeles.
Tonight, Vice President JD Vance uses a visit to Los Angeles to blast local and state leaders over their handling of anti-ICE protests. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. The Vice President arrived this afternoon with harsh words for L.A. Mayor Karen Bass and California Governor Gavin Newsom, accusing them of helping to create an immigration crisis and encouraging protests. The Vice President also spent some time late today meeting with Marines at a federal joint operations center and a mobile command center. He acknowledged that protest scenes are calmer today compared to a couple of weeks ago. Still, the Vice President stressed that the deployment of National Guard troops and Marines is necessary.
What happened here was a tragedy. You had people who were doing the simple job of enforcing the law, and they had rioters egged on by the governor and the mayor, making it harder for them to do their job. That is disgraceful, and it is why the president has responded so forcefully.
And before the Vice President's arrival, California Governor Gavin Newsom posted on X, urging the VP to consider victims of January's devastating fires in the L.A. area.
You're coming into California, which is important. It's been months now since some of the most devastating wildfires in U.S. history occurred. Tens of thousands of lives completely torn asunder. I hope you have an opportunity to spend some quality time with some of the victims, the families of the Palisades, and also spend some time in Altadena, which is incredibly important. It's also important as well, and I honestly mean this, that you sit down with the President of the United States, who just a couple days ago suggested that these American citizens may not get the support that other citizens get all across this country in terms of disaster relief. I hope we get that back on track. We're counting on you, Mr. Vice President.
And the legal battle between President Trump and the state of California over the deployment of National Guard troops in L.A. continued today. A hearing was held just hours after a federal appeals court in San Francisco handed President Trump a victory. KTVU political reporter Greg Lee has more tonight on what unfolded in court today and what it all means for Governor Newsom.
Governor Newsom's legal fight against President Trump's deployment of the California National Guard to Los Angeles returned to district court in San Francisco. The hearing before Judge Charles Breyer comes hours after the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals kept control of the troops in the president's hands, rejecting Breyer's ruling for Newsom. The appeals panel found the president acted within his authority to federalize the troops to respond to protests in L.A.
Judge Breyer is trying to figure out, did he just lose power? Did he just lose jurisdiction over those claims that were appealed to the Ninth Circuit? Or did he basically lose power over this entire case?
Judge Breyer asked both sides to submit briefs by Monday addressing whether he still has jurisdiction to modify or rule on other aspects of Governor Newsom and the state's legal challenge, specifically alleged violations of the Posse Comitatus Act.
The police do policing. Military for the battlefield.
Newsom addressed the issue last week and reiterated on X following the appeals ruling, writing, "We will not let the authoritarian use of military soldiers against citizens go unchecked." Part of the state's lawsuit asked the judge to limit military members to guarding federal buildings, preventing them from going on sweeps with ICE agents. The argument centers on the Posse Comitatus Act, which prohibits use of the U.S. military for domestic law enforcement, except for some extreme exceptions.
The Department of Justice is going to argue that there has been no violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, that under the statute that the president pointed to federalize the National Guard, that the National Guard can serve in a support role, and that is what they have been doing.
The president celebrated the appeals court decision on Truth Social and believed the impact could be larger, writing, quote, "This is much bigger than Gavin, because all over the United States, if our cities and our people need protection, we are the ones to give it to them, should state and local police be unable, for whatever reason, to get the job done." Attorneys for the state also raised questions about the length of the National Guard deployment to Los Angeles. The initial order says up to 60 days or at the discretion of the Secretary of Defense, which leaves room for interpretation. In San Francisco, Greg Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
And late today, the Dodgers announced plans to help families of immigrants targeted in recent raids. The team posted on X that it is committing $1 million toward direct financial assistance. The team's help doesn't stop there. Part of that post's caption included this, saying additional community efforts will be announced in the coming days. Pro sports teams across California are feeling the pressure after the Dodgers denied federal immigration agents access to the stadium parking lot yesterday. We brought you the story last night here on West Coast Wrap. Now ballparks all across California are preparing for a new kind of game day following that unexpected stadium visit by federal agents in L.A. We spoke with an immigration expert about what teams can legally do if ICE shows up at stadiums.
I don't think there's any real concern. There's large numbers of undocumented people working in the ballparks. I'm sure that the stadium employers ensure that they have the proper paperwork on file for each and every employee, and they rely on that paperwork to ensure their compliance with the law.
The Dodgers announced today a $1 million donation that, again, would benefit immigrant families, although the organization didn't say exactly where that money is going to go or how it will be used. The Trump administration insists it is not backing down on immigration enforcement along the United States' northern border.
We're strengthening not just what we do at our ports of entry to scan shipping containers, trucks, cars, passengers, people and pedestrians that may cross, but also what we're doing out on the waters and on your Great Lakes and what we're doing to make sure that we're stopping and doing interdictions going forward.
Today in Detroit, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem took part in a roundtable discussion on northern border issues. She said she's pushing for more technology and better surveillance equipment along that border. Secretary Noem also said the country's recent increase in immigration enforcement activity is not pulling resources away from the northern border. The Trump administration stepped up immigration enforcement may be affecting school attendance. According to a Stanford University study, there's been a more than 20% uptick in absences in several California schools during the first 2 months of 2025 compared to the same time period last year. That period coincides with a series of sweeps in which dozens of day workers were arrested by ICE agents. Some local leaders say students are being forced to choose between their education and safety. Meantime, employers say many workers are also not risking going out in public and simply staying home.
We're a little behind in workers. People are scared about the current immigration situation. Many families don't want to leave their homes. They fear, well, what's going to happen to my family if I get caught?
ICE announced this week it will continue its operations in farms, restaurants, and hotels after President Trump briefly paused raids focused on those particular industries last week. And also the Department of Homeland Security has lifted restrictions on immigration arrests in so-called sensitive areas, places like schools and churches. In Seattle, the FBI is warning tonight about a scam targeting foreign students who are lawfully studying here in the U.S. As Fox 13's Frankie Thompson tells us, the scammers threaten students, saying they are at risk of deportation if they don't pay up.
The latest crime of opportunity is exploiting international students' immigration status for financial gain.
It costs a lot of money to travel here to study in the United States. So I think it's a target-rich environment for them. They assume that they have a lot of money, and so maybe they would be more successful in targeting someone who might have access to a lot of funds.
Special Agent Ethan Vai with FBI Seattle says criminal scammers are impersonating agents from the Department of Homeland Security Investigations, and U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services.
We've seen these scammers are actually spoofing legitimate law enforcement numbers.
Thieves are calling, texting, and emailing international students lawfully studying in the U.S., claiming there's a problem with their visa and they need to immediately pay a fee.
And sometimes they route them to a phony website that might look like an official government website, or oftentimes just say you need to wire money to this bank account or buy cryptocurrency or gift cards and send it to this person.
Vice says they threatened to prosecute and even deport the students, a scheme that seems legit, especially since Vice says it's common for federal agents to contact people for information.
We do interviews every day. Like all law enforcement investigators, they have to talk to people. That's how we investigate. But the government will never ask you to pay money to remedy a situation. Right? That is something they will never do. And we certainly won't ask you to pay in cryptocurrency or via gift cards or an immediate wire transfer.
For those foreign students who are contacted, Vi urges them not to respond. He says instead, look up the real contact information for the agency and reach out to them. That office can help students verify the agent or department that reached out to them initially.
However you got your student visa, reach out to that agency and just double check, hey, is everything okay with my visa because I got this? And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna know that this scam is happening, and they'll be able to verify that your status is indeed fine.
And that was Fox 13's Frankie Thompson reporting tonight. The U.S. State Department has also posted a fraud warning, urging anyone who encounters these or other visa scams to immediately report them to the FBI. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, some shoppers say they're seeing double here in the West.
I want to know something actually insane. I just went to the new Trader Joe's that opened in Sherman Oaks. This is the other Trader Joe's.
Coming up tonight, videos circulating online as a brand new Trader Joe's store opens up right across the street from an existing store.
It was a blustery day right there in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'll talk about the winds and how they affect your West Coast Wrap areas with your forecast.
And coming up tonight, tech junkies say they've uncovered a record-breaking data breach. The billions of accounts they suspect have exposed passwords. Several states here in the West are starting off the weekend with increased fire danger. Parts of the San Francisco Bay Area are dealing with near-critical fire weather conditions. The National Weather Service has issued a warning of an elevated to near-critical fire weather threat all the way through tomorrow. Fire officials say the interior East Bay and eastern Santa Clara County hills are at particularly high risk. The rising temperatures coupled with dry brush are concerning, but crews say they have been planning and they are ready to go just in case a fire does break out.
We kind of hit thresholds in the fire season. The doors kind of open up for, we need everybody that we can to respond to these incidents. The key with a lot of these wildfires is picking them up early and keeping them small.
As the fire danger continues, PG&E is continuing to preemptively shut off the power in some places. The utility will likely turn off power to hundreds of customers through tomorrow. Well, fire danger also a concern for people in southern Nevada. Here's a live look tonight at the Las Vegas Valley. This will be an issue, the fire threat this upcoming weekend. A red flag warning is in effect in this area. For more, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Roberta Gonzalez, who is tracking the hot and windy weather that we're seeing in some parts of the West. Roberta?
Hi there, Alex. We're waiting for the computer to cooperate with us. Maybe the directors can hear me. Can you go ahead and take Max 2 because we're having a little bit of difficulties with our computers on this particular side. And there you have it. Well, I'll blame it on the wind if that's okay with all of you. Let's go ahead and take a look at that red highlighted area because that's where we are seeing the red flag warning in effect for just about the entire state of Nevada. Meanwhile, you see also that red area encompassing the Central Valley as well. And what this means is that we have the gusty winds and the very low relative humidity, and that's going to stay with us for the first full weekend of the summer months. Now, meanwhile, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on in other places around the West Coast. And again, this computer is just being a little bit touchy with me this evening, but you can see that the dry air mass in all of these locations down to about 15%, except you know what? I took a look at Las Vegas. They're going to drop below 10% in relative humidity. Meanwhile, extreme heat warning in effect for the Phoenix area backing through Tucson, and that's in effect for the entire weekend. High temperatures today, 110 Phoenix, 107 Tucson, 108 in Palm Springs, but it was below average right there around the California coastline. I'm talking San Francisco. Your average high this time of the year is 66 degrees, but instead you had 62 degrees. It was 71 degrees in San Jose and the South Bay, and that's 10 degrees below average. But look at Phoenix. Their average high temperature this time of the year is right around 106, but instead 110 today, record high. I remember that. 119 set back in 2017. Let's head to Avalon Harbor at Catalina Island. The high temperature there today, 67, but 22 miles to the east, Los Angeles at 81 degrees. Meanwhile, there you have Seattle, where it was raining earlier today, 63 degrees there, average high 71 degrees. degrees. Meanwhile, again, San Francisco topping off at 62. So here we go. Current air temperatures 50s and 60s along the coastline of California. We're still at 104 in Phoenix. And that area of low pressure well to the north of the state of California, that's spreading some copious amounts of precipitation all the way into Portland and leaving the Bay Area windy, and high pressure over Southern California leaves Los Angeles with above average temperatures. So that's what you have in store for you pretty much for the entire weekend. We have the hot conditions around Phoenix all the way into Tucson, and then you do have to the north in the Seattle and Portland area temperatures below average. Alex?
Thank you. Well, even some places here in the West known to start off the summer with mild conditions are heating up right now. Fox's Kennedy Hayes spoke with tourists in Idaho Springs, Colorado. Some of them hoping to escape hot weather in their hometowns are finding there's no escape.
River rafting is one of the most popular ways to beat the heat in this part of the country, and it's a little bit cooler out here in the mountains just west of Denver, but it is definitely still hot. And what's surprising me the most as I talk to people out here is just how many are saying they've come here from even hotter states looking for relief.
We're from the Houston area, so when we left it was like, what, 100 degrees outside? Yeah. It's very elevated here compared to Texas. We're, I think, what, a mile lower in elevation, I think. So we really got to drink lots of water.
We are from Palm Beach, Florida. It's gorgeous. The humidity is low humidity, so we have high humidity in Florida.
I'm from Arizona. I live in Maricopa County. The heat and humidity, like just standing here, I'm breaking a sweat.
The water here in the Clear Creek Reservoir is around 60 degrees, according to the Fox Forecast Center. So that's much cooler than the air temperatures a lot of the country is going to be feeling. Millions from the Northeast to the Central and Northern Plains will be sweating through this first weekend of summer. And temperatures in Denver today could hit 100 degrees. That would break the previous record of 99 set on this date 7 years ago. Heat advisories remain in effect through Sunday for the entire Denver metro area and foothills. Cooling centers are open across the region for anyone who needs a place to get out of the sun. The National Weather Service is urging people to stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and take frequent breaks in the shade. And with the winds picking up this afternoon, fire officials also reminding everyone to follow those local fire safety guidelines. In Idaho Springs, Colorado, Kennedy Hayes, Fox News.
Homeless advocates are helping those living on the streets and their pets to beat the heat in Arizona. 2 nonprofits are passing out heat relief kits to unhoused people along with separate kits for their pets. These kits include things like water bowls, cooling jackets, paw balm, and booties. This time of year, organizers say heat relief kits are essential throughout the Phoenix area.
This makes a huge difference. I mean, our unsheltered population are under such duress during the summer, and so many of them dedicate the minimal resources they have toward their animals. So being able to provide these pet-related products to help protect the dogs during the summer, it's such a relief, not just for the animals, but for their owners as well.
And organizers say their goal is to keep everyone safe during the extreme heat, whether they are humans or canines. All right, coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a lot of shoppers trying to make sense of a puzzling sight here in the West.
This one's way nicer, and then we've got one literally right there. Make it make sense.
Coming up tonight, Trader Joe's opens a new store just feet away from an existing store. Shoppers taking to social media to debate the logic behind this move. Plus, a project decades in the making, promising high-speed trips between Southern California and Las Vegas by train. What crews say they need to finish before full-scale construction can begin. A massive data breach has compromised billions of passwords. Cyber News reports a total of 16 billion login credentials have been leaked and compiled into data sets online, giving criminals unprecedented access to accounts consumers use each and every day. This includes Google, Facebook, and Apple logins. Industry experts say if you're worried about your account data being exposed, the first thing you should do is to change your password. Today, Silicon Valley-based Meta announced a partnership to launch new artificial intelligence glasses. The tech company is collaborating with Oakley on the new high-tech glasses. Meta says these glasses are a product for athletes and fans. They're water resistant, they have speakers, and they use AI to help athletes improve their performance, like communicating wind conditions to golfers. Google recently committed $150 million to develop AI glasses, but the vice president of wearables at Meta says they believe they're ahead of the competition. The Oakley Meta glasses will be available for pre-order starting on July 11th for $499, and the rest of that collection will be for sale later this summer, up for sale for $399. Well, the company behind a project to offer high-speed rail service between Southern California and Las Vegas says full-scale construction is getting close. Fox 5's Kim Passoff shows us what crews need to wrap up before they start laying down tracks.
Drilling deep into the earth near Sloan, just south of the Las Vegas Valley. This will be the site of Brightline West's vehicle maintenance facility. Since last year, engineering crews and geologists have been collecting soil samples up and down Interstate 15, investigating the land that will support the track, facilities, and stations of their high-speed line. Soil samples taken here are sent to a lab for evaluation to help determine how the foundation for the track should be formed and how the site should be graded. With the trains being electrified, testing is also needed to determine how conductive the soil is. While testing is still underway on the California side along the Future Rail Corridor, Brightline tells Fox 5 in Nevada they are 99% done with field investigations. The data collected from these investigations help finalize the project's design as they ramp up to full-scale construction, which they tell Fox 5 is, quote, getting close. The company originally projected the line would be ready in time for the LA Olympics in 2028, but that target has been pushed back.
And that was Fox 5's Kim Passoff reporting tonight. Brightline's all-electric rail service promises speeds up to 200 miles per hour. That means it should take a little more than 2 hours to get from LA to Las Vegas. All right, finally tonight, video circulating online shows Trader Joe's doubling down on business in one Southern California neighborhood.
I want to know something actually insane. I just went to the new Trader Joe's that opened in Sherman Oaks. This is the other Trader Joe's. Literally across the street. Still open.
People in the LA suburb of Sherman Oaks now have 2 Trader Joe's they can shop at. The stores are set up right across the street from each other. The opening of that second store at this location was part of the grocery store chain's plan to expand operations in 13 states. The company calls this store Trader Joe's 2 on its website. The person who posted the video on social media says employees expect both stores will stay up and running for at least the next 3 years. Quite the sight there for folks in Southern California. That does it for West Coast Wrap. A quick reminder before we head out tonight that you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering across the West Coast at our website, westcoastwrap.com. Have a great night.